But you know, bSwift, we come from a 12-plus year history of working with employers directly from mid-sized employers and large employers, and then indirectly through brokers and TPAs and carriers in the smaller end of the space. And one thing that I think is still surprising, to echo what Brandon was saying about the 10,000 employee firm, is that, you know, back in '99 when we founded bSwift, and you know, it was Forrester was predicting that, you know, within 5 years 80% of the market would be, you know, online benefits enrollment and admin administration. And we just wrapped up a survey we're doing with Employee Benefit News that is going to come out in the public in early June here. June 5th, I think we're doing a webinar or something like that. But what was just shocking to me again is that a lot of the market is still unautomated. It's just you know, crazy that a 10,000 employee company at this time is still doing paper enrollments, but they are. And that's great news for all of us, you know, clearly. But it also, even those folks that have some kind of benefits administration system or think that they do, they're not doing a lot of the functions that you would think they would, like a new hire enrollment, employee self-service functionality. So we see just it doesn't have to be whiz-bang technology. It has to work to facilitate new hire enrollments for core enrollments and any voluntary or ancillary benefits that the employer will be willing to put on the portal. And we see that as continuing just to push along in terms of industry adoption and penetration. I do think over the last 2 years, there's been more rapid penetration, partly because of the voluntary benefit push, you know, and more brokers bringing that to the table, you know, as a funding mechanism also to pay for a ben admin system. So that's good. You know, the other theme that I just wanted to touch on here was how a lot of the ideas out there for healthcare and benefits are really, you know, old ideas coming back to life, but they're being enabled by the new technology that seems to really put new excitement in kind of revitalizing these concepts, like the concept of defined contribution. Our company was founded on that in 1999. We didn't talk about that for the last 5 years, because when we did talk about it, people would say, well, defined contribution, that's just an old idea. All of a sudden, however, in the last 12 months, this concept of defined contribution is really, you know, catching some momentum in the marketplace, especially from the carrier and a lot of the broker side. I'm still not sure if the employers, you know, of the mid-sized and larger employers are at the director of benefits or vice president of HR are embracing this concept yet. I think CFOs, C-suite folks like the idea, because it's a way for the employer to somehow get out of the losing battle with the rising cost of healthcare. But the you know, really, this concept of exchanges and defined contribution is really exciting to us, and I think, you know, offers, you know, benefits technology firms and all of you a new opportunity. You know, when I think about exchanges and what the impact's going to be, and we're involved. We're actually the technology engine behind the Utah Health Exchange, which is the second state after Massachusetts to have a state-run or a state-enabled health exchange. I see there being a huge opportunity for private exchanges, and these public exchanges that still are hanging here in limbo until, you know, the Supreme Court decision. I think that it's going to matter for the health insurance carriers. It's going to matter tremendously whether the health insurance market is going to go from more of a group orientation to an individual marketplace. But I don't think that it really affects voluntary benefits as much. And I think that the horse is out of the barn for private exchanges, and it's just a question of whether or not these are going to be private exchanges that are going to be sponsored by carriers, and by that I mean the health carriers, the ancillary carriers, or you know, any carrier, whether they're going to be sponsored by brokers or associations or chambers of commerce or you name it, PEOs. Or, you know, that's the only uncertainty in the private exchange world is really who's going to sponsor these exchanges. And I think that answer could depend on, you know, different parts of the country and also the strategies of the different carriers, especially the health carriers. In any case, really what exchanges and defined contribution mean is that it's a new opportunity. It's really going to be a new technology platform to sell more voluntary benefits. The concept of a private exchange, especially in a world where high deductible health plans are exploding in growth, in essence, where a group health plan used to cover everything, now it's covering less, creating the opportunity to sell additional supplemental health products. I just see it being, frankly, an easier sale that technology can enable much more easily than, say, a whole life insurance product, which is a much tougher sale. And so I echo the thoughts mentioned here previously that, that with the right communication tools, with the right educational tools, with some of the new whiz-bang stuff that makes it more fun and engaging to, get employees to participate in the process, that there's a great opportunity in the next 3 to 5 years to really make a dent with some new products and to sell more through to the employee. Now, I mean, one example of that is that, Harvard and MIT just decided to offer online courses. They tried to do that in 2003, but they pulled it off the market, I guess, in 04 or 05 because it wasn't really getting a pickup. But I think they're going back at it now, and I don't know whether that's because of, everybody's on Facebook or everybody's embracing technology and everybody's on the internet. But now is the time. We all thought it was 12 years ago, but now is the time where employee self-service and new technology is really going to make a difference. So the last thing I just wanted to mention is that one of the most important things that we focus on at bSwift is really the employer and kind of satisfying the employer's all year round needs for benefits administration. We had our client advisory board last week with a number of our larger clients included, and we were throwing out some ideas to them around, brainstorming on voluntary benefits and what kinds they would want to offer and what kinds they didn't want to offer, and it just across the board. And this may be a conservative sample, but the sense was that I don't want to offer anything that's going to add to my administrative hassle factor. And so the idea of offering, say, a LifeLock or a non-traditional, not a pre-tax insurance benefit, they like the idea. They just don't want it to add to their, number of complaints, employee concerns, complications, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it is up to all of us here at the table and elsewhere in the industry to ease the administrative burden, to make this so seamless that it doesn't affect the employer's HR team or benefits team in a negative way, and just to make it all work. And I think we have people here on this panel that are committed to that challenge. One interesting thing is in the overall Ben admin market, about half the market is consumed or controlled, you could say, by the payroll HRIS ERP players, whether that's ADP, Ceridian, PeopleSoft, Oracle. The other half is folks like us. And I can see that over time that our share, of Ben admin, niche players or best-in-class players are going to erode the market of, the Ben admin platform within employers, because I think this world has always been complex, but it's going to get even more complex, and that's good news for all of us. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rich.